Transformers Fanco 328 here, and it's not about you do differently, it's about you do well. Seeing as how the next big holiday is about giving thanks for what we have, what better Thanksgiving countdown than to celebrate the man that gave me so much inspiration, the Nostalgia Critic. Say what you will about some of his recent episodes, or if he was even funny to begin with, but there's no denying his impact on internet culture. His style has often been imitated, and chances are you've heard a few of his jokes repeated by many others, including myself. So I figured that I'd count down my top 10 personal favorite Nostalgia Critic episodes. Why top 11? Because I've gone more than one step beyond in my last few countdowns, so this shouldn't be any harder. The only stipulation I have is no editorials, since those are more point-based episodes than a typical Nostalgia Critic review. I'm looking at the movie show reviews and top 11s that were the funniest, most thoughtful, and most impressive among his nearly 300 episode lifespan that still goes on today. So sit back and enjoy my top 11 personal favorite Nostalgia Critic episodes. Number 11. The Top 11 Fuck-Ups Trilogy. Now these videos are much lower on the list because, for one thing, I'm cheating by including 3 episodes in one. But they all work well with each other and cover the same topic, so I put them together as one. The other is that I feel these didn't hold up very well. Douchey McNitpick's straw fanboy act gets really old really fast. Many of the entries are really the most minor of nitpicks, or even a dispute of his opinion that should not count as a fuck-up, and some of his jokes really fall flat. Now some do work. Like one of my favorites being his description of how off he was about Barbed Wire's forklift in the first one.
So obviously I couldn't just say it was a slip of the tongue. My tongue would be more slippery than a banana peel skating on greasy black ice.
And the entire reason these make the countdown is that it shows Doug Walker doing what few highly popular content creators really do. Admit that he made some mistakes. And to his credit, some of them are rather significant. Like the missing War of the Worlds episode, the now removed autism joke in New Year's Saves Christmas review, crediting Drew Struzan for posters he didn't do in the tribute to the guy, and of course, Bart's Nightmare.
Need I sing more?
Hell, even I knew lizards eat fish when I first saw his Godzilla review, so I'm glad that mistake was caught too. It's not especially hilarious, but rather just a man confessing to his screw-ups, which is more than enough to earn my respect. Now, if only he could do one for his reboot episode, since he made many more fuck-ups since then, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose.
And as always, if I ever make a mistake, don't ever be afraid to bring it up. It's the only way I'll learn.
Number 10. Pokemon the First Movie. Much like the Fuck-Ups trilogy, this review wasn't as funny as I remembered it being, because when I first saw this episode back in 2008, it was a laugh riot. I vividly remember laughing at such jokes as the Jamaican comparison.
It sounds like something a Jamaican shouts out when he wants to play cards. Hey, would you like to play some Pokemon?
The complaining about how many Pokemon movies there are.
Is it the date it came out or is it the 2000th film? There's so damn many of them, I believe either one!
And trust me, they haven't slowed down since then. And the Lord of the Rings joke.
That's like naming the first Lord of the Rings film Lord of the Rings, don't worry, we're gonna have a shitload of sequels.
Which is even funnier now that there are a shit ton of sequels. Aside from that, it's also great to see him cover a topic he knows very little about, making his confused reactions all the funnier. A bit painful if you're aware of what he's confused about, but still entertaining. However, what made this review age poorly was not only his claim that Mewtwo had no real motivation, which anyone who saw the film proper could tell you is his dislike of the way Pokemon were being treated, but also how long he drags out the criticism of the hammered-in message. He spends a good 2 minutes on it, when the review is only about 12 minutes long, considering this was back in his early days. It wasn't funny and could easily have been shortened to just, despite the film being based on a franchise that became popular because of its battles and fighting, it spends a significant amount of time constantly preaching about how fighting is wrong, which becomes even worse when the characters end up forgetting everything that happens in the movie, thus making the lesson confused. That could use a bit of polishing, but my point stands. Regardless, this was still one of the first reviews of him I ever saw, and I do still find enjoyment out of it. Enough to make this countdown. And whether it's Pokemon or Nostalgia Critic episodes, catching them all ain't easy, but fun nonetheless.
Just because you know something is bad doesn't excuse you from doing it. A real lesson from a real hero.
Number 9. Mad Max Fury Road. Look at the effort they put into this review! Every waking frame is a living homage to the film it was based on, and while a lot of it is very fake looking, it's still impressive how far they went into recreating the practical effect driven thrill ride that is Fury Road, from the costume designs to the backgrounds to the vehicles. I also appreciated the more analytical approach. Unlike his standard reviews, which mix in criticisms and occasional riffs, this review is entirely an overview of why everyone gushed over Fury Road in light of the other Mad Max movies. And while the humor is entirely relegated to the plot portions of the review, some of the gags are actually pretty funny. My personal favorite is when Impractical Joe runs out of fanboys to fire a critic, except for the epic guitar guy. That reaction is priceless, not to mention creative. The Furiosa stand-in also manages to hold decent discussions on the movies with a critic without turning into a straw man, which, considering his propensity for writing those, even before the reboot, that's saying a lot. Which leads into the reason why this episode is so low on the list. The Menimists. All they're here for is to provide flimsy-ass arguments for the critic to shoot down with ease, as if that's all they have to offer. Sure, every side has their dumbasses that make it less worth fighting for, but there may be a decent reason as to why that side was there in the first place. Making strawmen out of someone doesn't make you look badass, it just shows you as an egotistical clod that believes the side you're arguing against has nothing of worth. Of course the arguments are shot down easily, because you made them that flimsy. Considering the dumbasses, though, Double Boner's speech at the end was oddly satisfying.
You know what? Keep living in your mama's basement, because the grown-ups are gonna make a more badass world, and we don't need your crybaby tears poisoning it up!
And can you please shut the fuck up about Michael Bay? He does have a fair amount of it coming, but all you're doing at this point is, as you put it in your Simpsons countdown, beating a dead horse with another dead horse. It stopped being funny 67 episodes ago. Please make other jokes! Whatever, the passion for the Mad Max movies is clearly the focus, and that's done spectacularly well. And the cap-off joke I had was already done by the description. Damn it! Number 8. Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. Out of all the Halloween reviews, this one has to be my favorite. It's not his biggest, but it's great proof that all you need is a batshit insane film and a witty writer to make a video worth watching no matter how long. I especially love the brief jab to the original Blair Witch.
For 20 minutes, I thought the Blair Witch was the grass!
The remarks to the confusing time frame the movie takes place in.
Pay attention, there's a fucking quiz later!
The entire sketch where the Shredder goes crazy over the cutting clips of the film's climax.
Okay, fuck it. Bathrooms to your left, we're fighting turtles.
The Mike Matei looking guy's random yelling.
Did you put them in there?
Did you?
Jeff, are they your teeth?
Yeah, Erica, they're my teeth! Excuse me, I'm not done yelling at random!
The entire reaction to the unexplained nature of the film itself, especially the absence of the titular Book of Shadows.
What the fuck was the Book of Shadows? Did they ever mention that in the movie? Don't you think maybe the title of your movie should goddamn have something well-fucked shit damn to do with your movie?
And my personal favorite, I swear to Christ!
I swear to Christ!
I swear to Christ!
It sort of sounds like he's turning into Miss Piggy, doesn't it?
I swear to Christ!
Oh my god, he does. The film itself may not be very suspenseful, but for me, this review was quite a wicking good way to waste half an hour of my life.
I'm the nostalgia critic. Pumpkin juice. Why did I say that? Because it makes not as much goddamn sense as this fucking ending!
Number 7. Mr. Nanny. Much like Blair Witch 2, all you need is a stupid movie and a good comedic critic to make a very entertaining review. And Mr. Nanny, while not as big as some of his other projects, usually has me laughing most of the way through. I love the conversations that sounded like behind-the-scenes discussions.
I want you to do this movie.
No, I'm a wrestler.
Exactly. You're an actor.
I said I'm a wrestler.
Ah, they're both the same thing.
The documentary moment.
The everyday appliances win.
Some of the comments on the absurd imagery the film provides.
You know, for a film with a premise about a male nanny, I really didn't expect some of this imagery.
But my absolute favorite moment is when he notes that the music of a certain scene sounds like I Will Survive.
Oh, hi! I survived the movie. It's a stupid flick, and suck my dick, keep the shit away from me. I should have tossed this stupid film. I should go and soon Netflix. I will survive. I will survive. Woo! Wish I was that guy.
That one gets me every time. Again, it's not the biggest review he's ever done. In fact, it only lasts about half the time of a standard episode of his would go on for. But this review's humor certainly has quality over quantity. Hulkamania ain't running wild on this film, but the review was loaded with the worst. I just made the exact same joke on 2 countdowns in a row. I deeply apologize. Number 6. Signs. One of the biggest criticisms of the nostalgia critic is his tendency to scream obnoxiously. oftentimes it's not very funny or even called for. And while it can work to his disadvantage, like with his review of The Avengers, I didn't need those air drums anyway. I think it works to his advantage in his review of M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. Whatever you thought of the film, the review was rather humorous. Some of my favorite moments were the alien dialogues, his reaction to the aliens' inability to get around pantry doors,
You can't be this stupid! You can't!
the slide whistle mocking Shyamalan's overuse of turning camera,
I never got a chance to...
and even the build-up of Shyamalan himself being in the film. Now, the review wasn't flawless, like his criticism of a scene lacking a line to indicate something being wrong when the character turning already indicated something was wrong, which is very glaring for a guy who keeps stressing that film is a visual medium, and starting the review by saying people who liked the film were not well. But the funny moments overshadowed the faults of the episode, at least for me. This is one invasion I won't soon be forgetting.
Looks like it was meant to be.
Number 5. The Room. What fan would I be if I didn't include this classic? This is easily one of the Nostalgia Critic's most iconic reviews for not only how funny it was, but how significant it was. Even though it was the only pre-reboot episode to be pulled for copyright, it may have been the very reason the movie is as popular as it is today. Not to say people didn't know about the movie prior, as he states in the beginning that tons of people requested it, but if anything, this movie would be relatively unknown were it not for him. One thing I admire about this review was his ability to write around his cutoff date, which seemed to be at least 10 years prior during his original run, by having his future Doc Brown self take him to the future, which was also a clever write around of renovations. Other highlights include the initial reaction to Tommy Wiseau.
Let me guess. That's Tommy Wiseau. Oh, no. That's the kind of acting they only talk about in fairy tales. The kind of acting that they say could never exist.
The running gag of mostly former site members warning him not to review the movie.
Away with you!
The entire flower shop scene.
Hello, I would like to buy a dozen roses.
Hey, jackass! I'm closing the store in 30 seconds!
Here's the money. Keep the change. Hello, doggy. Bye.
The callback to his first standard review. The dubbing moment.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Oh, can I? Thank you.
The Tao of Johnny.
It's real good, ha!
And many other moments that I think you should witness for yourself. It's one of the most fondly remembered episodes, and for good reason.
I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Number 4. Scooby-Doo. It was quite the surprise to see the Nostalgia Critic end, but if To Boldly Flee didn't send him off well enough, I can certainly understand why. He made one final episode that truly did end the show on a high note. Aside from a somewhat dragged out sketch involving Roger from the It's a Wonderful Life parody, as well as most of the ending sequence, it did have a climactic feel that, while it wasn't necessarily what the show was building up to, still ended the series on a satisfactory conclusion. Highlights include that entire beginning rant.
This is the worst thing a human being could ever go through!
Some of the reactions past Doug has to future events.
There's this really great scene where she ties Vince Vaughn to a bed and puts a sweaty sock in his mouth.
Do I have to become you?
It works in context!
The overblown scenery.
Normally it's the actors chewing the scenery, not the scenery chewing the actors.
White people.
White people, making life uncool since the dawn of time.
Scrappy Doo's mutated Pumbaa design.
Hello, Timon! I've come to eat your soul!
And the one that gets me every time, Shaggy's out-of-character cowardice.
Fred and Velma always figured out everything.
My middle name is Judas!
Again, the episode isn't perfect, but I think it was perhaps the best way to end the Nostalgia Critic's nearly 5-year run and start moving on to other things. Until they had to bring him back because he was the only thing keeping the website afloat. Whoops!
Just thought I'd join you this evening.
Of course! Pull up a chair!
Number 3. The commercial specials. If the fuck-ups were the Konami code of countdown cheating, then this is the action replay. I'm including 5 entire episodes into one entry. But like with the fuck-ups videos, all of these serve the same purpose, to cover commercials. In fact, there's entire compilation videos dedicated to watching all of them back to back, and it's hard to think of one special without the others anymore, so I think these count as one entry. All of them have entertaining riffs on classic, and even some more recent ads that we remember from either watching TV as a kid, or even watching them before a video on YouTube. If I had to pick a favorite episode of these, I have to say the second one, We'll Be Right Back. Simply because it had some of the best jokes out of all of them, including the Wonder Boner.
My wife would like that.
You know!
The origin of
Fucking bubbles!
the callback to the Suburban Commando review.
Give it up, Dragos! Give it up!
It's Afterburner!
The reaction to the Rabbit Hotline.
Hello, kids. I'm a table. If you like to hear about me, a table, dial this number. Table away!
The entire Flintstone scene.
Cocoa Pebbles cereal, part of the nutritious breakfast. Yabba dabba delicious.
I'm gonna eat your wife's box!
The Terminator Owl. And of course, earning parents' permission. I think the weakest one would definitely be the fourth one. Not only for having the least amount of commercials covered, but also dragging out one too many jokes for much longer than need be. Like the entire Horny Wicked Witch sketch, where not even Mark from The Room can save it, and that overblown reaction to the red, white, and blue pancakes from Denny's. Either way, the commercial specials are always something to enjoy, even at its worst. These are some great product placements that I don't want to miss.
Zach, he's a psychomaniac. Zach, he's a psychomaniac.
Bitch.
Number 2. The Last Airbender. There are many times when Doug doesn't do his research, but in this instance, he spent the better part of a couple months catching up on the hit cartoon show Avatar in preparation to rip Shyamalan's disaster opus a new one. Even knowing that Shyamalan had less control over the movie as we thought, many of the criticisms of this review are still valid, and a lot of the jokes not only showed a great payoff with the vlogs, which was already cropping up in the early reviews.
Our moon was home to a great civilization ruled by Queen Serenity.
Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
But also provided many great laughs, even with the sometimes overlong sketches. Some of my favorites include the breath on camera gag,
Air, water, earth, fire.
critic thanking Shyamalan for the unintentional hilarity of the penis hair.
Thank you for your unintentional hilarity.
You're welcome.
Now,
monotone that shatters glass.
Are you the Avatar Ong?
Sokka's reaction to his film counterpart. The reaction to the Fire Lord.
It's like they grabbed a guy at the grocery store and dressed him up as Big as Dickus.
Hell fever!
And of course, the most pathetic earthbending ever put to a screen.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Don't worry, guys, I'll get him. Take that.
There is one joke that does kind of annoy me, and that's the Ember Island Players gag. Mostly because it's been done before. In fact, I had seen that joke years before this review came out, so it just felt unneeded. But I understand why it was there. Despite that, The Last Airbender made the first great reboot-era Nostalgia Critic episode. Let's just hope the rest of the series remains untouched. Or at least better handled. I don't think anyone could sit through a film like this one again. Ugh.
But the effects were decent.
And my number one personal favorite Nostalgia Critic review is Planet of the Apes. While the Jurassic World review was funny at times, one can't help but feel that it was basically another means for Doug to repeat his opinion on the film, which is negative save for the final confrontation. In addition to shattering the one rule he established for himself, and ironically because of the motivation of demo reel, some felt this was the new Bart's Nightmare. So it's a good thing he followed it up with this spectacular review. It quickly won me over with the truthful preview, addressing many of his shortcomings in a way that makes up for his lack of fuck-ups videos, but the main review itself truly sold me. The sketches managed to avoid ruining the flow of the review itself, well, no more than the commercial interruption does, by staying at the very beginning, in between the commercial break, and at the very end. And the review content of the video was truly splendid. Many of his riffs were entertaining, and his criticisms and even praises come off very legitimate. One of my favorite moments was the awkward pause section, mostly because I had responses in those pauses.
and wash your hands before dinner.
I think that goes without saying.
Do you have a towel?
No, I don't. Sorry, Thade.
In the time before time,
the Great Spirit descended from the heavens. Also, is it weird that this film came out the same year Bionicle got started? Other highlights include his many remarks on General Thade.
Imagine Chris Lambert and Clint Eastwood fucked a monkey. And that monkey got a kidney stone while also being constipated at the same time. Tim Roth!
The Kali Ma joke.
Try the human hearts. I hear they're delicious.
The gay marriage joke.
When you gonna make that kind of commitment?
Frank, I told you I would marry you when I get back home. It's legal now.
The brief mention of Tim Roth's appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Hulk movie.
Piss off, Messiah. Unless you know how to get my whole character in an Avengers movie, I'm not interested.
Wahlburgers.
You should open a Wahlburgers here.
And of course, Monkey Love.
So if there's anything that this film is clearly trying to get across, don't do it.
My only real issue here is this one missed opportunity.
Oh, and look, you made Googly Face sad. Seriously, what reaction is that even supposed to be?
Doug must not watch as much Mystery Science Theater as we thought, because that face is clearly...
No surprise! So you're wrong, Mr. Nelson!
Otherwise, the entire crew was on fire with this one. I'm Transformers Fanacle 328, and I'm going to celebrate this review by summoning the battle cry of my testicles being tightened.